You're tuned in to Track Talk on Sports Radio 810 WHB. All right. America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show in the Midwest for over a decade. Track Talk, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Here are the RacinBoys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
We're in the middle of July, and you know what that means? We're in the midst of it, right in the middle of summer, and we got all kinds of racing to talk about here this morning. Welcome. Good Saturday morning to you. My name is Kirk Elliott here in Independence. Scott Traylor, he is a long ways from RacinBoys World Headquarters, way out west, even in 2 time zones difference. We're at 6 a.m., where he is at this morning. Are you still awake there, my friend?
What?
Hello?
What? Yeah.
Wake up.
Hello?
It's breakfast
Hello?
time.
Yep, it's 6 a.m. out here in the West, Kirk. So, yeah, you had to go and remind me. I was trying to convince myself it was 8 o'clock, but now that you've reminded me, I'm tired again. But, no, sounds like you guys were up late last night as well, out at Lakeside Speedway. I wish I would have been out there for that USMTS race. How was it?
It was a good show last night, and here to talk about it and some other things that are going on this weekend. I think I'm going to be wherever this guy is this weekend. I've already been 2 nights with him this weekend.
We're going to make it 3.
The old friend Merman, Lloyd Collins.
Yes, indeed. How
Long
we doing,
time
guys?
no see. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
It's been
Privilege.
a while since you've been in here.
Well, busy. Got a lot of stuff going on, especially this month. Seems like it's just nonstop this month going on here toward late in the month, and it is what it is. So we just rock and roll and do it,
Well, we were together up at I-35 Speedway. We went in separate cars, though. We didn't travel together or anything. But
Really?
We
I would have never guessed.
And
I would have never guessed.
The USMTS weekend got started up at I-35, where Ryan Gustin came from fairly deep in the field to make a run at the checkered flag. And guess what? He did it again last night at Lakeside Speedway, the first ever visit by the USMTS at Lakeside. Good crowd. Very impressed with the car count. 47 USMTS modifieds in attendance last night. Of course, they had a couple of other classes. The Ironman Challenge B-Mods is part of the USMTS traveling series, and the local guys did well in that. And Brad Smith and Nick Newton running 1-2 in that division. And I think maybe the one guy that probably put on the best show of the night, it came in the factory stock division. Bear stock, Darren Christie running the high groove and putting on a show.
Him and those white walls.
He probably drew more crowd response than anybody last night, including Ryan Gustin.
He's probably the most liked driver out there. Bear's got a hell of a personality. He's a real nice guy. And, I was just glad I could be out there when he got his win last night. So
let's see. I think second time this year he's done it. But, it was a good show last night. Crowd, very good. I left the racetrack. We had to do some TV stuff late in the afternoon for RacinBoys TV. And I was driving out of the racetrack and then came back, and the steady stream of cars that were coming in off I-435. And I think I called you right after that. I said, hey, this is going to turn out to be a good night. So you kind of wonder about that, though, because modified racing has been a big-time staple at Lakeside Speedway for a lot of years. You wonder if fans would turn out for the USMTS cars when they feel, hey, we see these guys every week. So I was kind of wondering just what kind of a response they were going to be.
Well,
they see
really,
good quality.
Kurt.
They see good quality modified racing every week at Lakeside Speedway.
Wonder if everybody's been clamoring for this event out there. This has been probably the most anticipated modified show, or maybe any kind of show at Lakeside Speedway in a long, long time. You knew they had to. If the weather was going to be good, you knew they were going to have a big turnout out there, right?
And it was great weather.
I mean, I really didn't have any doubt that if they had good weather, they were going to have a big crowd.
No, big crowd is what
they
it
did.
Was. Good
they
car
did. You're
count,
right.
Yeah.
Big crowd.
Yeah.
I think the enthusiasm people showed for it, it showed to the promoters and all last night. I think it was. It was just fantastic. I loved it. I was hoping. I'm thinking. First thing I'm thinking is, okay, guys, let's get another one of these shows later on in the year.
So
out
the
here.
question is, how come it's taken so long to get USMTS at Lakeside Speedway?
I don't have a clue, but I would say it's probably just negotiations between Mark and Todd. You know, Mark Olson, the owner of Lakeside, and Todd Staley. I just, that's all I could say. I don't know what else it would be. But I guarantee you after last night, I'd guarantee you they'll be back. I shouldn't say guarantee, but the show was good enough.
Todd Staley's show?
Yes,
Todd Staley rented the track.
Yeah.
And
well,
he'll
that
be
says
back.
a lot right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. Heck, Mark, he saw the response. He might want to do that show on his own next time.
I would imagine he probably would if he's seen. I know he recognized the response last night. I mean, it was nuts. I walked up there at intermission at one point on the concourse behind the grandstands there, and it took me 10 minutes to go 20 feet. It was so crowded. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it was an impressive turnout, and I think that the big difference between this event and, say, the World of Outlaws in terms of whether or not Mark Olson would take on this event on his own, I think would be much easier for the USMTS because the nut that you'd have to put up for the World of Outlaws is almost, I just don't think he would even consider that. This he would consider.
I think the purse for that deal last night was probably close to 25, 28 grand. And what's World of Outlaws?
Which is a lot different, close to $100,000.
Yeah, something like, 100,000 by the time you put your advertising in.
No, it's 100,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
80. Yeah, but you know what? I don't. Is it 25,000? I thought it was under 20,000 for a USMTS race.
Well, I'm considering everything. Todd probably took care of everything last night. Benzie Leaf's track. I'd say he paid the purse for the.
And then he got a lot of help from Rick Beebe and Ron Keith. Their two businesses, BB Heating and Air Conditioning and Arbor Masters, put up extra dollars on top of what was already put up for the purse.
Yeah, normally would have been a $4 grand to win show, and they actually ended up paying $5 grand last night, thanks to Rick Beebe and Ron Keith. All in all, I was amazed with it last night.
If I was Mark Olson or if I was Todd Staley, the way I would see that going down, and I'm not sure this is how it goes, but he probably leases the track. Mark gets all the concessions, and there's probably an agreement that if it's successful, that Todd Staley gets that show in the future. That's how I would have built that agreement with him. You hate to go in there, like for an example, up at US 36R race. We'd hate to take the risk the first time with the ASCS National Tour, and then have somebody come in there and try to backdoor you and take the race from you and do it because it was successful. So I would think that they would have that agreement in place that, hey, if I'm going to take the risk the first time, then that should be my event from here on out if I want it to be. And then, maybe Todd Staley might say, hey, you know what, it was successful, Mark, now you take it over too. You don't know what kind of agreement they have, but if you're the guy that takes the risk the first time, you should be rewarded by having that event in the future.
And it was on live television last night, so you don't know how that entered into everything.
Yeah. Was that known from the get-go that was going to be on TV? Because I didn't see him advertise that anywhere. Maybe they just kind of low-keyed that a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think Todd Staley in his pre-race publicity is going to actively go out and say, "Hey, it's on TV." For those of you that,
right.
If it's 100 degrees in the shade, it's on TV.
Yeah,
that's
stay
okay.
Home.
Yeah, stay home.
Ahead, stay home.
I don't think he's going to go out and put that out there. But
right.
I don't think it affected the turnout at all, and I don't think it's affected the. And we've talked about this for several weeks. It's not really affected the turnout in all the weeks that they've had it on live TV out there.
Yeah, I was talking to a few people. They said it was down maybe a little bit last week, but I think that's primarily probably because of hot. Yeah, it was just 104 degrees last week out there. So, as far as being live TV, I don't think it's.
And last night was as good a weather as we've seen all summer.
Oh,
so
great.
I mean, people that maybe have been sitting at home for the last several weeks because it's hot are coming. Hey, the USMTS. Oh, by the way, it's halfway decent out there tonight. Yeah. Let's go to the races.
Well, what was it? 80-some degrees?
Yeah, it was
beautiful out last night. It's great. So, I have, like I said, I have no doubts. I think that show was good enough last night that I think the fans will see that again next year. And myself, I'm really hoping they'd have another one later on in the year. As often as USMTS comes through the Midwest through here. So you just never know. I'm just glad that they was able to work something out and get a show out there. And I think there's a lot of other race fans that was happy.
You can tell just being around Todd Staley, and we were with him the night before up at I-35. He was a little bit nervous. You know, how big this event was to his series. I mean, he really looked at coming to Lakeside Speedway, coming to Kansas City as just a big moment in his series. I mean, you could tell it.
Oh, absolutely.
And he just pretty much said so, too.
Well, with the venue as Lakeside is, you know, it's got a national known name, you know, to it and recognition to it. So, yeah, it was a huge feather. You know, it was a feather in both their caps, actually. You know, Mark, I know Mark turned out very well with it last night, and so did Todd Staley. So, like I said, I have no doubts. I believe that they're going to probably get some other shows scheduled there as well.
So, yep, big night, and we're going to talk a lot more about it a little bit later on. As we're waiting to get out of the track, you were waiting in another vehicle.
Yeah,
I was waiting to get out. While I'm waiting to get out, I tune in to Lebanon, Oregon, where Scott is at right now, the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series, the first of a 2-night weekend at Willamette Speedway. And you got it in last night. It sounded like a pretty good show. And the thing I was struck by when you were describing the racetrack, you said it's just like Lucas Oil Speedway. Really?
It's a lot like Lucas Oil Speedway. I think the track itself, the way it's configured, and the look of the surface and the layout of the track itself is probably more like Lake Ozark Speedway, surrounded by a place that looks a lot like Lucas Oil Speedway. Now, it's not Lucas Oil Speedway, don't get me wrong. It doesn't have quite the amenities that Lucas Oil has, but still, at the same time, it's got 30 open-air suites. It is just got brand-new grandstands. It's got the same kind of fencing. You know, with Lucas Oil Productions there last night, with them taping for television, they had it all bannered up. It looked really good. It's one of the nicest tracks I've ever been to. I'll tell you that. It was really nice. They spent $650,000 doing capital improvements on it this year over the winter. And next year, if they pave the pits, because it is a rock pits, and it is kind of rough down there, but if they pave the pits, it's going to be right in line with Lucas Oil Speedway.
Yeah. Now, where exactly is Lebanon, Oregon? Where are you at right now?
Well, my motel room is about an hour from the racetrack, and we are, I'm at 196A. I'm about 41 miles from the racetrack, and I'm about probably 10 miles north of Eugene, Oregon. So about 51 miles north of Eugene, Oregon is the racetrack.
Somewhere between Portland and Eugene? And how
a little closer
far,
to Eugene than Portland.
How far away from the ocean are you?
Probably about 3-4 hours, maybe. Something
that
like that.
far. Okay.
Yeah. No, we won't make it over by the ocean until we get down around Santa Maria, and that's 2 weeks. Did I say 2 weeks? Oh, Lord. 2 more weeks out here.
Hey,
so,
you're not digging ditches out there now. You're watching races, right? This can't be that bad.
Oh, yeah. You're just watching races. It's great. No, they're having a good time out here. It is. It's pretty demanding, though. Up late, tear down, move on to the next town. So, luckily, after tonight's action, we're off for a couple days, and I think I was talking to Gary Wright and Johnny Herrera and Tony Bruce and a bunch of us. They're going to come down to this exit and hang out for a couple days, kind of regroup, because we've been hitting it pretty hard here for the last week, you know. Great Falls, Montana, and Rapid City, and I-90, and I mean, it's been bang, 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 going to a lot of races. It's a lot of fun, too, at the same time. But, you know, it's hard to keep up with these young dudes out here, you know? That's old Dad here. I feel like the elder statesman out here with all these young people, you know?
You're just
traveling around with a bunch of 20 and 30. Yeah, just a kid. But it's been a lot of fun. I mean, you know, I wouldn't want to do anything else. Well, maybe I might want to do something else, but not much. It's pretty fun, except when you have to get up. Kirk, we've been talking about this for a long time, getting up out here when you guys, you know, are on at 8 o'clock, at 6 o'clock in the morning out here, and it's all good, though.
Just leave your clock at Central Time Zone, and you won't be thinking about it Pacific Coast time.
Then I'd be late all the time out here.
Just remember to show up 2 hours early for wherever you're going. When you look at your
like
watch,
Lloyd.
you won't be mentally thinking about just how early it is.
I need to set my clock 6 hours early, so I can be just like Lloyd.
What's wrong with that now?
Nothing wrong with that.
There you go. I didn't think so.
No,
I just like to get I like to get there early enough, and of course, if it's one of our Lucas Oil MLRA shows, I have to get there early. I've got obligations and things to do and stuff like that. So
obligations. Now tonight you're going down to Lucas Oil Speedway. The MLRA is part of that deal tonight. I mean, don't you just go down there and hang out? I mean, it's the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series event. You're just there to watch, right? I mean, the MLRA is part of the thing, but
I'm
there
just to watch Kirk.
What do you have to do tonight in Wheatland?
When we do a co-sanction like that with the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series itself, I personally don't do a lot other than what I have to do, my little knick-knack stuff that I have to do or whatever. But it's totally different than actually being, a single show with the MLRA. It's a lot of other things I have to do. So tonight, it's going to be pretty relatively easy. I will kick back. I'll mosey around, do some talking, some people and stuff like that. But when it's one of our shows, I like to try to get there early, get my things set up, get all the banners in place, things like that, and then just kind of maybe relax for a little bit and then kick it off and go for it all night.
Lloyd, you've kind of taken this junior official thing to another level, haven't you, bud? You're an official.
Well, I guess. I don't know if you want to call me that.
Got the big uniform working and the whole deal.
Yeah, I like it, I guess. I mean, it draws a lot of attention. I know that.
Man, our boy has left the nest and become a man out there on the road.
Oh, whatever.
Hey, you got a big night, US 36 Raceway Wednesday night, the big MLRA show up there.
We've got a whole big week coming up. Yeah, this coming Wednesday, the 18th, isn't it, Kirk? The 18th? Yeah.
Wednesday night?
Wednesday night, the 18th. We've got a show up at US 36 Raceway in Osborne. And, of course, from there we go right on up to I-80 for the Silver Dollar Nationals where they practice Thursday night.
Well, that's going to be a
Friday
big
and
event,
Saturday. Huge event. Of course, the Lucas Oil Late Model Series is now involved with that now. So, that's going to be a big event. It was huge last year.
Was that $25,000 to win?
$25,000 to win, yeah. But
where's that at again?
At I-80 Speedway.
I-80, and then we have our show, Wednesday night prior to that, at US 36 up there, which I love that US 36 track.
Hey, Lloyd, did you go out to Jetmore?
No.
Did you go out to Jetmore?
No, I had other obligations. We
MLRA not part of that deal.
No, it's really too far out there for our guys. A lot of them voiced their opinion about that. So this year, Harry elected not to be a part of that.
Why? Because
deal,
it's too far to go?
Yeah, it's 6 hours out there and 7 and 8 hours for some of the guys. It's insane.
No easy way to get there either.
No easy way.
It's just out in the middle of nowhere.
And it's a sad situation too because it's a very nice facility out there, but it's just out there in the middle of nowhere where there's not much of anything. I mean, you got to draw late models from, somewhere, back in the Kansas City area or, out in Nebraska or Colorado or Arizona, because it just there's not a base out there for it right now. But hopefully he'll make it work.
All right, we're just getting started here this morning. We're going to take a little bit later on in the hour. We're going to take your calls. We got Kansas Lottery giveaway. We're doing that again here this year, so we're going to talk about how we're going to give that prize package away here in just a little while. But when we come back, we're going to talk with sprint car driver Chris Morgan, who was seriously injured in an accident at Valley Speedway a few weeks ago. And he's going to tell us how the recovery is going and how soon he'll be back in a race car. Chris Morgan. When we come back, you're listening to the RacinBoys, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Lloyd Collins sitting in with us. I'm Kirk, Scott out in Oregon. We'll be back with more here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Don't go away.